Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Welcome to Sci-Fi Bedtime Stories, where cosmic dreams begin. Be sure to like, subscribe, and join our interstellar journey so you never miss another captivating tale. Now, settle in and prepare for an adventure. Terry was a man consumed, his form hunched over the keyboard as his fingers danced a furious ballet across the keys, conjuring intricate lines of code onto the luminous screen. The office hummed with the usual Friday afternoon exodus, a distant, buzzing energy he barely registered. His focus was absolute, an unyielding resolve to conquer this particularly stubborn bug before the freedom of the weekend. "Hey Terry, drinks? We're out!" Jake from marketing hollered, his voice already fading as he strode towards the elevator. Terry's shoulders tightened imperceptibly. He forced a strained smile, a practiced mask. "Thanks, but I'm swamped with plans." The familiar lie slid out, smooth and effortless, a well-worn shield against connection. Jake merely shrugged. "Suit yourself, man. See you Monday." As the last echoes of departure faded, leaving the office eerily quiet, Terry exhaled a long, shuddering breath. Social interactions, even brief ones, always left him utterly depleted. He yearned for the logical chaos of 1,000 lines of code, far preferable to the treacherous minefield of forced small talk and insincere laughter. Hours bled into one another, until at last, Terry tore his gaze from the screen. The office was cloaked in a profound silence, save for the hum of distant servers, cast in deep shadow. He rubbed his weary eyes, a jolt of surprise striking him as he realized the sky outside had already dissolved into an inky, starless black. With a weary sigh, he gathered his sparse belongings, stepping out into the cool embrace of the San Francisco night. The streets throbbed with the city's vibrant pulse, alive with the usual Friday night revelry. Laughter spilled from bustling bars, mingling with the murmur of happy conversations as couples strolled, their hands intertwined. Terry instinctively hunched his shoulders, a specter navigating a world he felt utterly detached from, a ghost drifting unnoticed through their vibrant tapestry. His apartment beckoned, a cherished sanctuary of comforting solitude and beloved Star Trek reruns. As he took a shortcut through the sprawling expanse of Golden Gate Park, a blinding flash of brilliant, impossible blue light suddenly tore across the sky. Terry froze mid-stride, his breath catching as he watched what appeared to be a meteor streaking with impossible speed through the darkness. It was a sight of breathtaking beauty, mesmerizing in its fiery descent, and unmistakably, it was plummeting straight for the park. The object impacted with a thunderous, concussive boom that vibrated through the very ground beneath his feet, rattling his bones. Terry's heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat of primal fear. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, to put as much distance as possible between himself and the cataclysm. Yet a more powerful force, that insatiable curiosity inherent to the scientifically minded, compelled him forward. He plunged into the dense undergrowth, driven by an invisible pull, following a jagged trail of freshly broken branches and scorched, smoldering earth. The sharp metallic tang of ozone grew stronger, thick in the air, guiding him closer to the unknown impact site. A soft, faint groan reached his ears. Terry pushed aside one final resistant branch, and then he gasped. At the center of a shallow, freshly formed crater lay a woman, but she was unlike any human woman he had ever conceived. Her skin wasn't merely pale, it shimmered with an ethereal, otherworldly iridescence, subtly shifting through a spectrum of soft colors. Her hair, a magnificent cascade, seemed woven from living starlight, each strand twinkling with an inner luminescence. And her eyes, when they slowly fluttered open to meet his startled gaze, were not just eyes, but swirling galaxies of deep purple and molten gold. Holy. Wow, Terry breathed, utterly captivated. The woman struggled to push herself upright, a soft gasp escaping her lips as a wave of pain rippled through her. "Greetings, Earth creature," she managed, her voice a melodious chime, yet clearly strained. "I come in peace, and... oh, what is the phrase your people use?" A delicate frown creased her brow in intense concentration. "Ah, yes. I come in peace and would very much like to Netflix and chill with you." Terry blinked, his mind momentarily short-circuiting, utterly stunned into a profound silence. What?" The alien woman tilted her head, a bewildered expression crossing her impossibly beautiful, ethereal features. "Have I used the phrase incorrectly? I was led to believe it was a standard Earth greeting." Despite the sheer, mind-boggling absurdity of the moment, Terry found a genuine laugh bubbling up, fighting to escape. "Not exactly," he finally managed, still stifling his amusement. Are you okay? That looked like a pretty rough landing." She attempted to rise again, but her legs buckled, and a cry of pain escaped her. Instantly, Terry surged forward, his instincts overriding his disbelief, catching her before she could collapse. The very moment his hands brushed against her shimmering skin, a jolt, an electric tingle, shot through his entire body. "My sincerest apologies," she murmured, leaning heavily against his steadying arm. "My vessel's navigation systems experienced a catastrophic malfunction. I am Nara, Crown Princess of the Zarthali. And you are?" "Terry," he responded, almost automatically, his mind still reeling, desperately trying to process the surreal reality of holding an honest-to-God alien princess in his arms. "Terry Chen, I'm a software engineer." Nara's extraordinary eyes lit up with sudden, vibrant interest. "Ah, a man of science and technology. How utterly fortuitous. Perhaps you can assist me in repairing my magnificent vessel?" Before Terry could even formulate a reply, the shrill, unmistakable wail of approaching sirens sliced through the otherwise quiet night air. Nara stiffened abruptly, her gaze snapping towards the distant sound. "We must depart immediately," she urged, her voice now laced with urgency. "Your government's agents approach, and I absolutely cannot allow myself to be captured." "Wait, what? How do you know?" Terry stammered, bewildered. Nara quickly placed a delicate hand upon his chest, her swirling galactic eyes locking intensely with his. "Terry Chen, I know this is incredibly sudden and undeniably strange, but I need you to trust me. Will you help me?" Terry hesitated, his mind racing. This was beyond insane. Utterly, completely, mind-bendingly insane. Every rational fiber of his being screamed for him to call the police, or the army, or anyone, who was actually trained and qualified to handle honest-to-God aliens crash landing in the heart of San Francisco. But as he gazed into Nara's swirling, otherworldly eyes, a profound shift occurred deep within him. Here, at last, was the adventure he had secretly, deeply yearned for his entire life. The exhilarating chance to be more than just another faceless cog in the relentless Silicon Valley machine. And if he were being brutally honest with himself, the utterly wild idea of being whisked away by a strikingly beautiful alien princess was, in fact, incredibly, powerfully appealing. "Okay," he heard himself say, his voice far steadier than his tumultuous emotions. "What do we do?" Nara's relief was a palpable wave, washing over him. "Hold on tight," she instructed, her voice a low, urgent murmur as she swiftly wrapped her slender arms firmly around him. The familiar world around them began to shimmer, then blur, the very air vibrating with an unseen energy. Terry's stomach lurched violently, a dizzying sensation as reality itself seemed to stretch, bend, and twist around them like liquid. For a terrifying, disorienting moment, he felt as if his very atoms were being pulled apart, scattered to the winds. From an almost imperceptible shimmer, a sudden, powerful whoosh of displaced air marked their re-emergence in a new reality. Terry reeled, his head still swimming. As his blurred vision sharpened, an impossible truth solidified. He stood within the breathtaking interior of a starship. Graceful, organic curves flowed effortlessly into radiant, pulsating, crystalline structures. Vivid holographic displays shimmered to life throughout the chamber, alien symbols dancing across them, utterly beyond his comprehension. This was no dream. It was the vivid realization of every fantastical sci-fi vision he'd harbored. "Welcome aboard the Starfire," Nara's voice resonated with a clear note of quiet pride. She glided to a central console, her delicate fingers moving with practiced grace across its intricate controls. "I've activated our cloaking systems. We are now effectively invisible to your planet's primitive scanning technology." Terry's thoughts spiraled, his brain frantically attempting to reconcile the impossible cascade of bewildering events from the past few moments. Whoa, wait a second," he stammered, raising his hands in a plea for pause. "I desperately need some answers. Who are you, truly? Why are you on Earth? And what was that cryptic remark about government agents?" Nara sighed, her shoulders visibly relaxing. For an instant, the poised facade of the alien princess fractured, revealing a flicker of raw, undisguised apprehension in her luminous eyes. "You're absolutely right," she acknowledged, her voice dropping to a gentle whisper. "You deserve the complete truth. Please take a seat. This will take some time." Terry cautiously lowered himself into what he tentatively identified as a chair, feeling it subtly conform to the contours of his body with an almost sentient grace. Nara remained poised, her starlight hair shimmering, drifting with an imperceptible, gentle current. "As I told you, I am Nara, the crown princess of the Zarth Thali. My people are an ancient, venerable race, revered guardians of peace and boundless knowledge across much of this galaxy. But now, Terry, we face extinction, a devastating curse woven into our very being by our ancient ancestors is systematically consuming us from within." She gestured with an elegant sweep of her hand, and a somber holographic display materialized between them. Terry watched, riveted by a horrified fascination, as the projection depicted a beautiful humanoid form, slowly, agonizingly disintegrating, its very essence crumbling to ash from within. "When members of the royal bloodline attain a certain age, our bodies begin to fail," Nara continued, her voice tight with a deep, personal emotion. "No cure has been found. No technology can halt its relentless decay. We've searched the far reaches of the galaxy for a solution, and at last, we discovered hope in the most unlikely of places, Earth." Terry's brow furrowed in confusion. "Earth? What could we possibly possess that an advanced civilization like yours doesn't?" A faint enigmatic smile touched the edges of Nara's lips. "You, Terry, or more precisely, your very DNA. There is an unparalleled uniqueness within the human genetic code, a hidden potential capable of reversing this ancient affliction, but its activation demands profound, intimate contact." Terry's eyes widened abruptly as the unsettling implications of her words crashed over him. "Intimate? You mean?" Nara offered a hesitant nod, a delicate flush spreading across her cheeks. "Yes. To preserve my dying civilization, I must bond with a human. And not just any human. Our geneticists painstakingly identified the precise genetic markers needed. When I initiated the scan in the park, I confirmed that you, Terry Chen, carry the precise DNA sequence indispensable for our survival." Terry's jaw worked uselessly, his mouth opening and closing without a sound. His mind raced, desperately attempting to process this utterly seismic revelation. A disorienting part of him wondered if this was all an elaborate, cruel hoax, or if he had finally succumbed to the immense pressure of his work and was merely hallucinating the entire fantastical scenario. "So let me be absolutely clear," he finally articulated, his voice a strained whisper. "You require sexual congress with me to prevent your entire species from vanishing forever?" Nara winced, a flicker of discomfort crossing her features at his stark, unvarnished phrasing. "It is indeed a more intricate process than that. But essentially, yes." Terry raked a trembling hand through his hair, a nervous, disbelieving laugh escaping his lips. "Wow, okay. That is an astronomical amount to absorb." "I comprehend that this is profoundly overwhelming," Nara stated softly, her voice infused with genuine empathy. "And I want you to understand that I would never, under any circumstances, compel you. If you choose to extend your aid, it must stem purely from your own unburdened will. But please, Terry, grasp this immense weight. The destiny of my entire people hinges on your decision." Terry sprang to his feet, his thoughts a chaotic storm, and began to nervously pace the confined space. His mind spun, a maelstrom of conflicting thoughts and raw, jumbled emotions. On one hand, this was utterly, undeniably insane. He was merely Terry Chen, an ordinary, slightly awkward software engineer who often struggled even to initiate conversation with women in a bar setting. How could he possibly shoulder the cosmic burden of saving an entire alien civilization? Yet on the other hand, wasn't this precisely the thrilling, improbable adventure he had always, secretly, yearned for? The chance to transcend the mundane, to become a genuine hero, to forge an undeniable impact across the very fabric of the cosmos. And, if he were brutally honest with himself, the prospect of an intimate connection with the breathtakingly beautiful alien princess was, to say the least, not an unbearable proposition. "What about those government agents you mentioned?" he interjected, desperately grasping for a distraction, attempting to bring order to his tumultuous thoughts. Nara's serene expression clouded, a shadow falling over her features. "Factions exist within your world's covert governments, deeply cognizant of extraterrestrial existence. They would commit any atrocity to seize me, to dissect and ruthlessly exploit my advanced technology. I simply cannot permit such a horrific outcome." As if on a chilling cue, a piercing, insistent alarm abruptly shattered the ship's quiet, echoing throughout the chamber. Nara spun and sprinted to the central console, her nimble fingers a blur across the flashing controls. "They found us," she exclaimed, her voice strained and sharp with escalating tension. "Earth vessels are closing in, rapidly. We must exit orbit this instant." Terry's heart hammered against his ribs. This was it. The dizzying, impossible edge of the precipice of choice loomed. Return to his safe, predictable life, or launch into an adventure beyond his wildest dreams. Terry took a deep, fortifying breath, squaring his shoulders. "What do you need me to do?" Nara's eyes met his, filled with profound gratitude and a nascent spark of connection that sent a thrilling shiver down his spine. "Take the seat next to me," she instructed, urgent. "We're going to have to outrun them." As Terry swiftly strapped himself in, the ship thrummed to life. Through the panoramic view screen, he watched, a strange ache in his chest, as Earth, his home, dwindled into a distant blue marble. "Hold on tight," Nara murmured, a thrilling hint of excitement lacing her tone. "Things are about to get very interesting." The stars blurred into incandescent streaks as the starfire surged forward, leaping into faster-than-light travel. Terry's stomach lurched, but an irrepressible grin blossomed across his face. He knew, with absolute certainty, his life would be irrevocably transformed. As they hurtled deeper into the boundless cosmos, Earth, a forgotten memory. Terry found an incredulous laugh escaping his lips. The sheer, preposterous absurdity of it all. He, a socially awkward software engineer, now thrust into the improbable role of galactic savior for an alien civilization. All thanks to a peculiar DNA match and a fondness for solitary, late-night walks. "Something amusing?" Nara inquired, a subtle brow arching as she skillfully guided the ship through the dazzling, star-streaked void. Terry shook his head, still chuckling. "Just this incredible situation, you know? This morning, my biggest worry was debugging a stubborn line of code. Now, I'm on a starship, fleeing governments, about to rescue an alien race through intimate means." A faint, knowing smile played at Nara's lips. "I concede, from your viewpoint, it must be extraordinary. Yet I find your Earth customs equally perplexing. For instance, this Netflix and chill ritual. Is it truly a widespread mating practice or merely a prelude?" Terry nearly choked on air. Well, it's not exactly. I mean, it can be, but..." His voice trailed off, a mortified flush rising to his cheeks. "Perhaps," he managed, "we should focus on not getting caught by those government ships for now." "An exceptionally sound suggestion," Nara conceded, her focus instantly shifting back to the ship's intricate controls. "We'll need to execute a series of random jumps to confound pursuit. It promises to be a turbulent journey." As if on cue, a violent lurch rocked the vessel. Terry gripped his seat, his knuckles stark white. "So, how long have you been piloting this thing?" he stammered, fighting to mask the tremor in his voice. Nara's brow furrowed in concentration, her fingers flying over the console as she deftly maneuvered through a chaotic asteroid field. "Oh, about 3 of your Earth days," she replied casually. Terry's eyes widened in alarm. 3 days? But you seemed so confident." Nara shrugged, a mischievous glint in her eye. "Confidence is key, wouldn't you agree? Besides, I'm a quick learner." The moment they cleared the asteroids, a piercing proximity alarm shrieked. A titanic vessel materialized, dwarfing the Starfire. "Zara Alley cruiser," Nara muttered, her expression darkening. "They tracked my departure from our home world." "I thought we were running from Earth government ships," Terry stammered, confusion and fear warring in his voice. Nara's nimble fingers danced across the controls, conjuring holographic displays. "It seems we're running from multiple factions now. How thrilling for you, Terry Chen. Your first interstellar adventure is shaping into quite the tale." Despite the peril, an incredulous laugh escaped Terry's lips. "You know, most first dates usually just involve dinner and a movie. But I guess frantically fleeing from 2 different sets of pursuers across the galaxy counts too, right?" Nara cast a quick glance, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "Oh, is this indeed a date then? How delightful. I hope I'm making a good first impression." Before Terry could respond, the ship violently jolted. Warning lights screamed. "They've locked on with a tractor beam," Nara snarled, her lightheartedness vanishing. "I can break free, but it will consume all our power. We'll be dead in space afterward." Terry's mind ignited, racing through improbable solutions. He knew problem-solving was his strength. "What if we reversed the polarity of our own energy systems?" he blurted. "Could we weaponize their tractor beam against them, like a cosmic slingshot?" Nara's eyes widened in astonishment. "That's brilliant. Risky, but it just might work." Her fingers blurred over the controls, instantly implementing his audacious suggestion. "Brace yourself," she warned. The Starfire groaned, caught in an agonizing tug-of-war, the oppressive pull of the tractor beam against the desperate, inverted thrust of its own systems. For one agonizing, heart-stopping moment, Terry thought they would tear apart. Then, with a cataclysmic surge of power, they exploded free, rocketing past the immense cruiser at impossible speeds. As they careened wildly through space, alarms screaming and systems failing, Terry found himself erupting into pure laughter once more. Nara joined him, her melodious voice intertwining with his joyous relief. "Well, Terry Chen," she declared, as their laughter subsided, her eyes alight with adrenaline and profound admiration. "It appears one chose my human companion with unparalleled wisdom. Hope flickers for my people. Adrift, the Starfire, temporarily powerless yet liberated, Terry met Nara's steady gaze. In that profound instant, amidst the looming peril and the unknown path ahead, he recognized the undeniable rightness of his choice. Whatever twists the future held, an extraordinary adventure awaited. As the Starfire glided through the immense void, its systems gradually awakening, Terry found himself mesmerized by the viewscreen, still grappling with the dizzying sequence of events that had brought him here. Mere hours prior, he was an unremarkable software engineer in San Francisco. Now, he was hurtling across the cosmos alongside an alien princess, seemingly destined to safeguard her entire civilization. Lost in thought? Nara's enchanting voice gently pierced his contemplation. Terry turned, finding her watching him, a look of profound curiosity gracing her ethereal features. "Just trying to process it all," he confessed, his voice tinged with wonder. "It's overwhelming." Nara inclined her head, her hair like spun starlight shimmering with the motion. "I understand completely. Perhaps a guided tour of the vessel would help anchor you. There is much to behold, and we have ample time before reaching Zaral." Navigating the Starfire's elegantly crafted corridors, Terry's inherent inquisitiveness began to eclipse his initial astonishment. He eagerly bombarded Nara with questions about the ship's advanced technology, his eyes igniting with wonder at each revelation. "This is simply astonishing," he breathed, examining a device that appeared to effortlessly bend gravity itself. "The potential applications of such innovation are boundless." Nara offered a warm smile, a new radiance in her eyes. "You possess a remarkable intellect, Terry Chen. I am deeply impressed by your swift comprehension of these concepts." A surge of pride warmed Terry at her commendation. It had been an age since his intellect had been so genuinely recognized. "Thank you," he murmured, self-consciously rubbing the back of his neck. "I've always enjoyed unraveling complex puzzles. It's what drew me to software engineering." "A most valuable aptitude," Nara mused, "one that may prove absolutely vital in the coming days." As their exploration continued, Terry couldn't overlook Nara's subtle ways of finding reasons to brush against him, or lingering just a fraction too close. Initially, he attributed it to cultural nuances, but when she inadvertently backed into him, her lithe form pressing against his for a moment that felt intentionally prolonged, a suspicion began to dawn. "My apologies," Nara whispered, her voice low and resonant. "These passageways are remarkably confined." Terry's throat constricted, his pulse quickening. "No worries at all," he managed, fighting the burgeoning sensation where her body had met his. Days blurred into a continuous stream of interstellar transit and intensive immersions into alien technological principles. Terry dedicated himself to absorbing every piece of knowledge, driven by a desire to be indispensable. He even succeeded in optimizing several of the Starfire's core systems, earning him genuine appreciation from Nara and her select crew. One evening, as Terry concluded his ablutions in the ship's compact facilities, the door suddenly slid open. A startled yelp escaped him as he instinctively tried to shield himself. Nara entering the space, completely unadorned and seemingly unfazed. "Oh!" she exclaimed, her eyes widening in a display of feigned innocence. "I hadn't realized the facilities were in use. How thoughtless of me." Terry remained rooted to the spot, water cascading down his form, acutely aware of Nara's appreciative gaze. I was just finishing up," he stammered. Nara made no move to depart. Instead, she glided nearer, reaching past him to adjust the water flow. "Since I'm already here, I might as well join you," she stated with casual grace. "It seems far more efficient this way. Wouldn't you agree?" Before Terry could formulate a coherent response, Nara was standing beneath the cascading water with him, her skin shimmering like captured starlight. He desperately attempted to fix his gaze above her neckline, but it was an utterly futile endeavor. "Is this not a customary practice amongst your kind?" Nara inquired, her tone angelic, yet her eyes alight with playful mischief. Terry emitted a choked sound that was half laugh, half gasp. Not typically, no." "How very intriguing," Nara commented, reaching for a vial of soap. "Here, allow me to be of assistance." As her sudsy hands traced a path across his chest and shoulders, Terry's mind simply ceased to function. This was truly occurring. This was actually happening. He was sharing a shower with an alien princess, and she was... oh goodness, she was now washing his back. "You carry a great deal of tension," Nara observed, her fingers expertly working through a knot in his shoulder. "Perhaps I can help you unwind." It required every iota of Terry's self-control to step away. I believe I am sufficiently cleansed," he managed, his voice catching slightly. "Thank you for your kind assistance." He practically fled the washroom, his heart hammering against his ribs, his thoughts in utter disarray. What on earth had just transpired? Was she genuinely drawn to him, or was this merely a bewildering alien misinterpretation of human customs? As the days continued their inexorable march, Nara's overtures became increasingly daring. She seemed to revel in discovering new ways to initiate physical contact, to encroach upon his personal space in a manner that left him both flustered and undeniably aroused. One particularly memorable instance involved her accidentally drenching his lap with a peculiar, viscous alien beverage, followed by her insistent offer to clean it herself. "Oh dear, how clumsy of me," she purred, her hands lingering a moment too long. "We mustn't let this mar your attire, Terry." He shifted, caught between mortification and an awakening desire he couldn't subdue. "It's truly fine," he stammered. "I can manage it myself." But Nara persisted, her touch both maddening and electrifying. By the time she finished her ministrations, Terry was a flustered, trembling wreck. Despite the building tension, Terry found himself genuinely warming to Nara. Beneath her playful demeanor and regal presence, he uncovered a keen intellect and a sardonic wit that mirrored his own. They conversed for hours, delving into subjects from advanced physics to the nuances of Earth's popular culture, each enthralled by the other's unique perspective. Yet as Zarthal loomed closer, the gravity of their mission began to weigh on Terry. He was falling hard for Nara, but was this genuine? Or was he merely a pawn, a crucial element in her quest to save her world? The Starfire decelerated from warp speed with a jolt, unveiling a stunning panorama of celestial formations and radiant planets. At its heart pulsed Zarthal, a realm of breathtaking alien beauty that resonated deep within Terry. "Welcome to my home," Nara murmured, a wistful undertone coloring her voice. As they descended through the planet's atmosphere, Terry's wonder swiftly gave way to unease. The spires of the royal city shimmered with an ethereal glow, yet a premonition lingered that he was entering a place of deception. His fears were immediately validated upon their arrival. A retinue of Zarthali nobles greeted them at the spaceport, their countenances betraying thinly veiled contempt as they observed Terry. "Your Highness," one, a stern, imposing male, advanced. "We are relieved by your safe return, but this entity you have brought with you, surely you do not intend to proceed with this reckless endeavor?" Nara's eyes flared with indignation. "Mind your address, Lord Vexer. This entity is our people's sole chance for survival. You would be wise to accord him proper deference." Vexor's lip twisted into a sneer. "Deference for a primitive being. Your absence has clouded your judgment, Princess. The Council will never sanction this abomination." Terry stiffened at the affront, but before he could respond, Nara's hand found his, a gentle squeeze grounding him. "The Council will adhere to my decree," Nara declared, her voice resonating with sovereign authority. "Or have you forgotten who bears the crown?" The subsequent days were consumed by a torrent of political stratagem and palpable animosity. Terry was unexpectedly plunged into a world of alien machinations for which he felt utterly unprepared. Every utterance, every gesture seemed imbued with veiled intentions, and he constantly felt on the precipice of triggering an interstellar crisis. Throughout this ordeal, Nara served as his steadfast support. She navigated him through the labyrinthine Zarthali social customs, offering a comforting touch or a quiet word of reassurance. Nevertheless, even she could not entirely shield him from the barbed remarks and dismissive gazes of the royal court. "I don't belong here," Terry confessed one evening, slumping onto an ostentatiously decorated divan in Nara's private chambers. "I'm just a tech guy. These political games are beyond me." Nara settled beside him, their proximity more intimate than decorum dictated. "You belong here more than any of them," she stated resolutely. "You possess courage, kindness, and intellect. Do not let their narrow-mindedness diminish your self-worth." Terry gazed at her, truly seeing her, and his heart swelled. In that instant, his deepest desire was to embrace her. Yet the persistent doubt remained. Was this genuine, or was he projecting his own affections onto a situation born of necessity? "Nara," he began tentatively, "all of this, the flirtation, the physical contact, is it solely because you require my assistance to save your people? Or is there something more?" Nara's eyes widened, a fleeting vulnerability crossing her features. For a protracted moment, silence descended, and Terry felt a tightening in his gut. Finally, she spoke, her voice a mere whisper. "Initially, yes, it was driven by duty, by the imperative to do whatever was required to save my people. But now," she reached out, gently cupping his face, "now I find myself wishing for different circumstances, for a meeting under less demanding conditions." Terry's breath hitched. "So you do feel something?" Nara nodded, a melancholic smile gracing her lips. "Perhaps more than I ought. But Terry, you must understand, my paramount obligation is to my people. I cannot permit personal sentiments to compromise what must be achieved." Her words struck Terry with a physical force. He comprehended, of course, but that did not lessen the sting. "Understood," he replied, striving to suppress the bitterness in his tone. "Naturally, the survival of your entire species is at stake. What are one human's feelings in comparison?" Nara flinched as if physically struck. "Terry, please, do not make this any more arduous than it already is." He rose. He urgently craved solace, a breath of freedom, murmuring, "I truly need solitude," avoiding her gaze, adding, "If it's permissible, Your Highness." Without a pause, he departed, his spirit heavy, his thoughts chaotic. As the door sealed his exit, he missed Nara's heartbroken expression, her hand reaching out as if to recall him. Lost in the unfamiliar expanse, enveloped by the imposing magnificence of an alien dominion, Terry felt an unparalleled sense of disorientation. He had journeyed to rescue a civilization, yet paradoxically, he risked losing his very soul. Terry wandered the Zarthali Palace's alien corridors, his mind a storm of conflicting sentiments. The opulent surroundings, once a marvel, now felt stifling. He discovered himself in a secluded sanctuary, its alien flora radiating a soft bioluminescence in the fading light. Sinking onto a seat that appeared to be crafted from living crystal, He hid his face in his hands. "Facing difficulties in your new life, Terran?" Terry's head jolted up, finding Lord Vexator observing him with thinly veiled disdain. The Zarthali nobleman's lip curled in a sneer. "I'm perfectly all right," Terry mumbled, unwilling to engage with the alien's taunts. Vexator's gaze sharpened. "Are you truly? You appear quite troubled, like someone who's just grasped the immensity of their predicament." Terry's temper flared. "What business do you have with me, Vexator?" The nobleman circled Terry like prey. "I desire your departure, Terran. You have no place here. You are an unsophisticated being, interfering in matters far beyond your understanding." "Nara requires my assistance," Terry countered, rising to confront Vexator. "To salvage your kind?" Vexator's laughter was a chilling, cruel sound. "Save us, you simpleton. Do you even comprehend the commitment you've made?" A shiver coursed through Terry. "What exactly are you implying?" "The union ceremony," Vexator stated, his voice laced with contempt. "It's no mere courtship. It's perilous, potentially lethal for a fragile race such as yours." Terry's pulse quickened. "That's a fabrication." "Is it?" Vexator's eyes gleamed with malevolence. "Inquire of your cherished princess. Ask her about the consequences of our species experiencing ultimate ecstasy. Ask her how many of her former consorts survived the ordeal." Before Terry could formulate a reply, Vexator turned abruptly and departed, leaving Terry with a burgeoning sense of dread. Hours later, Terry stood before Nara in her private quarters, his face a testament to hurt and betrayal. "Were you ever going to disclose this to me?" Nara averted her eyes. "Terry, I don't—" "Enough," he interjected. "Vexator revealed everything, the entire truth, the ritual, the immense risks. How could you conceal this from me?" Nara's shoulders sagged. "I was apprehensive," she confessed softly, "afraid that revelation of the truth would lead to your departure. And without you, my people face ruin." Terry let out a bitter laugh. "So I'm merely a pawn in your game? A sacrifice?" "Never." Nara's eyes flashed with profound sorrow. "You are infinitely more, Terry. My affection for you is deep. That is precisely why I cannot proceed. I refuse to endanger your life." Terry regarded her, his heart torn between conflicting impulses. A part of him yearned to retreat, to disengage from this entire preposterous scenario. Yet gazing at Nara, witnessing the profound anguish in her ethereal eyes, he knew he could not abandon her or her people. "I will undertake it," he declared, his voice steady. Nara's head snapped up. "What? No, Terry, you cannot." "I can, and I shall," he interrupted, resolute. "You sought me out to save your people. That is my purpose. But your life is at stake." Terry offered a shrug, a faint, wry smile gracing his lips. "Well, if I'm to depart, it might as well be in a blaze of glory. Wouldn't you agree? Or perhaps a blaze of supreme pleasure." Nara studied him for a long moment, then erupted into laughter, underscored by a touch of hysteria. "You are an utterly impossible man," she said, shaking her head. "Such a magnificent, courageous, yet utterly reckless man." The appointed day for the ritual dawned with an air of ominous anticipation. Terry stood before an elaborate altar at the heart of the royal palace, flanked by chanting officiants and apprehensive dignitaries. Nara approached, radiant in ceremonial attire that seemed to capture the very essence of starlight. "Are you absolutely certain of this?" she inquired softly as she joined him. Terry nodded, striving to project a composure he did not entirely possess. "There's no turning back now. Besides, I've always been curious about the sensation of ultimate pleasure." Nara's lips curved into a suppressed smile. "You've certainly been encouraging until the very end." The chief priest stepped forward, raising his hands. "Let the union commence." A spiraling vortex of energy surged forth from the altar, engulfing both Terry and Nara. The surrounding reality dissolved, space-time itself appearing to contort and distort. As the luminous phenomenon subsided, they found themselves within a dimension of pure energy, vibrating with an otherworldly power. "Where are we?" Terry exclaimed, his voice resonating strangely. "The nexus of the malediction," Nara replied, her form flickering and ethereal. "The source of our people's suffering and our inherent might." A sonorous voice boomed throughout the spectral expanse. "Who dares intrude upon the ancient covenant?" Terry squared his stance. "We do! Terry Chen from Earth and Nara, Crown Princess of the Zarthal." A being of pure energy, radiating primal power, materialized before them. "The covenant is inviolable. It represents the consequence of your people's arrogance, Princess. What is this?" "Hubris," Terry demanded. "Why must the Tsar suffer this ancient curse?" Visions swirled, depicting their vast dominion, worlds aflame, entire races subjugated. Terry recoiled, gasping. "Your ancestors," he breathed, turning to Nara. "They were conquerors." Nara nodded, her face etched with pain. "We were instructed that we were benevolent rulers, extending civilization throughout the cosmos. But this is utterly monstrous." The energy being's voice boomed once more. "The curse was enacted to curtail your might, to thwart the ascent of another despot. It is unbreakable." Terry's thoughts altered. This transcended Nara's people. It was about rectifying an ancient injustice, about a metamorphosis on a cosmic scale. "What if an alternative existed?" he called out. "A method to ensure the Zarthali never misuse their strength again." The being's energy pulsed, intrigued. "Speak, Earthling." Terry inhaled deeply. "My world employs a system called democracy. The populace selects their leaders, and these leaders answer to the people. No single individual wields absolute authority." He looked to Nara. "You could revolutionize your society. Forge a governance that serves its citizens, not the reverse. Demonstrate to the universe that the Zarthali have evolved." Nara's eyes widened with dawning comprehension. "A constitutional monarchy," she whispered, "with a democratically chosen council to temper the crown's authority?" The energy being's form shimmered. "An intriguing proposition, but words are fleeting. How can we be assured this transformation will endure?" "Because I will make it endure," Nara declared, her voice resonating with fierce resolve. "I pledge it with my life and the lives of all my descendants. The era of Zarthali oppression has irrevocably ended." For a long moment, a profound silence enveloped the ethereal domain. Then, gradually, the energy being began to fade. "The covenant is renewed," it intoned. "But be warned, Princess. Should you or your progeny ever covet absolute power again, the curse will return with amplified ferocity." With a blinding burst of light, Terry and Nara found themselves abruptly returned to the tangible realm, sprawled upon the altar. The gathered Zarthali cried out in astonishment as Nara's skin ignited with revitalized brilliance. "It has succeeded," she breathed, marveling at her hands. "The curse is broken." Terry offered a weak grin. "Excellent. Now, if you'll permit me, I believe I'm about to faint." As his senses ebbed, he heard Nara's laughter, felt her arms embrace him. For the first time since this incredible journey commenced, he found true serenity. The ensuing weeks were a tempest of political upheaval and societal metamorphosis. Terry watched with profound admiration as Nara adroitly navigated the perilous currents of Zarthali politics, steadily guiding her people toward a novel governmental structure. There were inevitable setbacks. Some, like Lord Vexter, vehemently resisted the changes. Yet as the curse's grip loosened across the populace, even the most steadfast adversaries conceded that a shift was imperative. Throughout this tumultuous period, Terry remained at Nera's side, offering counsel and steadfast support. His objective perspective proved invaluable as the Zarthali grappled with concepts like checks and balances and the separation of powers. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking the sprawling capital, Nera turned to Terry, a playful spark in her eyes. "You know," she purred, drawing nearer, "we never did conclude the joining ritual." Terry's heart hammered against his ribs. "I believed that was merely a means to break the curse?" Nera's laughter was low and alluring. "Oh, it was far more than that. And now that the urgency of saving an entire civilization has passed." She left the sentence hanging, her implication undeniable. Terry swallowed hard. "What about the whole great pleasure aspect? I thought that posed a danger to humans." Nera's smile widened. "I believe we've demonstrated that humans possess a far greater resilience than we previously acknowledged. Besides," she added, her voice softening to a whisper, "I shall be exceedingly gentle at first." What transpired was a night of passion that eclipsed anything Terry had ever conceived. True to her word, Nera initiated with tenderness, but as the night unfolded, she unleashed the full spectrum of Zarthali sensuality. Terry surrendered to a vortex of pleasure so profound it verged on the spiritual. When dawn arrived, they lay entwined, breathless and utterly content. Terry stroked Nera's starlit hair, awestruck by the trajectory his life had taken. "So," he said, striving for a casual tone, Where do we go from here? I mean, you're still a princess with a world to govern, and I'm simply a man from Earth." Nera propped herself up on an elbow, gazing at him with earnestness. "Terry Chen," she declared, "you are infinitely more than a man from Earth. You have rescued my people, reshaped our society, and," she paused, a tender smile gracing her lips, "you have captured my heart." Terry's breath hitched. "Really?" "Indeed," Nera affirmed with conviction, "which is precisely why I have a proposition for you. How would you feel about becoming Earth's inaugural ambassador to Zoral?" Terry's eyes widened in disbelief. "Me? An ambassador?" Nera nodded. "Who could possibly be better suited? You now understand both our worlds implicitly," she added with a knowing smirk, "and it would provide us with an excellent reason to spend a great deal of time together." Terry laughed, drawing her closer. "E for a kiss, you say? And how could I possibly refuse?" Years melted away, and the profound shifts ignited by Terry and Nara's courageous actions rippled across the vast expanse of the galaxy. The Zarthali, once cloaked in fear as ruthless conquerors, were now revered as gentle peacekeepers and wise mediators. Their astonishing technology, no longer jealously guarded by a select few, flowed outward, uplifting worlds still finding their footing. Terry, embraced as Earth's esteemed ambassador, became the vital conduit, the cherished bridge connecting two distinct civilizations. He poured his heart into nurturing understanding and forging bonds of cooperation between humanity and the Zarthali. And if his deepening bond with the planet's adored princess occasionally raised a knowing eyebrow, well, that was simply the art of exquisite diplomacy. Nara, steadfastly honoring her promise, governed harmoniously with an elected council. Under their shared stewardship, Zaral bloomed into a glorious new golden age, a realm built on the bedrock of freedom and profound equality, a stark contrast to its past of conquest and dominion. And if, within the sanctuary of their private chambers, the princess and her ambassador engaged in frequent, intense diplomatic dialogues that left them both radiant with more than mere political triumph. Who could ever find fault with such devotion? Their love story became a whispered legend, a beacon of enduring hope, and a powerful symbol of unity for both their peoples. Then, a few years later, when Nara tenderly welcomed twins into their lives, a son with Terry's soul-stirring eyes and a daughter with her mother's celestial starlight hair, the entire galaxy erupted in joyous celebration, heralding the radiant dawn of an entirely new era. As Terry gently cradled his daughter, his gaze lost in the wonder of the tiny, luminous sparks dancing upon her delicate skin, he couldn't suppress a heartfelt chuckle at the sheer, beautiful improbability of it all. From a solitary software engineer, adrift in the mundane, to the proud father of a remarkable new hybrid species, all because he'd chosen to wander through a park at that single, perfect moment. "What brings such amusement?" Nara inquired softly, their precious son nestled securely against her. Terry simply shook his head, a wide, genuine grin spreading across his face. "Just reflecting on how this all began. You see, when I yearned for a spark of excitement in my life, I was envisioning something more akin to a challenging new project at work. Not all of this." Nara's melodic laughter intertwined with his. "Are you perhaps complaining?" "Not in the slightest," Terry affirmed, drawing closer to share a tender kiss. As their lips met, he felt that familiar, exquisite tingle of Zarthali energy flowing between them, a profound affirmation of how far they had journeyed and the extraordinary adventure that still awaited. Beyond their sanctuary, the twin moons of Zaral ascended majestically over a cityscape, shimmering with an palpable aura of hope and boundless possibility. And in that perfect instant, Terry knew with unshakable certainty that no matter what formidable challenges the future might present, they would confront them together, united as one, human, alien, and bound by the love that had irrevocably transformed worlds.